Starsector, one of the best sci-fi games there are. A great game popularized by a crazy African warlord who for some reason has a YouTube channel. Is it really popularized by him? Yes, of course, but Seth wouldn't play this game without it being good. And it is very good. The gameplay is good, the combat is good, the music is great, and the vibe of everything just works. There's so much content in this game that if a new player began playing it now, he will have enough content to last him to the next patch. Well, maybe I say too much there. Yet without any jokes, there is a lot of content. Factions, wars between them, exploration, smuggling drugs, or just regular trading, which is for pathetic law-abiding citizens. We are scammers, fuck the society, fuck the law. Yep. We wonder why everything is like this. We made being a good guy cringe, so yeah. Here we are. You know, there's a story, a good story, side stories, enemies to fight, so many enemies, some of them redacted, some of them redacted detected, some of them red, and there's the lore, the history, and I'm a tyrannid. I go from one game to the other, from one movie franchise to the other, from one universe to the other, and I just devour all of the lore. And Starsector has some great lore, some great story. I'm the steel merchant. And I will tell you what my ADHD allows me to tell you of Starsector's history. On the FractalSoftworks net site, there's the whole page of history of the Persean sector. I will of course go through all of it. However, I will also go through speculative story if it comes to things from before the collapse, or maybe even some post of the collapse. From now on, spoilers ahead, but if you got this far, you don't really care, do you? Anything before the interstellar travel is of no importance to regular folk. It's only the scholars and historians of lore like us who care about such things. Nothing is said about the Earth before interstellar travel. It surely was like ours, therefore I'm not gonna say much about it. However, at some point first ships were created. Their drives not quick enough, therefore cryosleep was created, as all drives were sub-FTL. As stated in true and accurate history of the Persean sector, autonomous probes, spore ships, siege ships were dispatched for the first time. From this point on, full interstellar expansion began. Various interstellar policies were first founded as humanity expanded over the stars. This expansion was powered by oldest thing pushing for innovation and expansion, rivalry. Multiple different human policies pushed forward with expansion, further empowering already rapid conquering of the stars with the second wave of probes, spore ships and siege ships. FTL drive was developed by this point, a sign and cause of the second step in humanity's goal and right, control over the stars. During this second step of humanity's exodus, the place it all began from was devastated. Old Earth was devastated. Only thing known was that it was devastated. How? By human hands or something else? It isn't known, but our own self-destruction could be likely the cause. Although remember, Earth by this point was just an origin point with only sentimental value. Just like the ways of life of people of old, Earth itself was destroyed and taken by time. It was during the third step of expansion, which of course was empowered by ships, siege ships and drones. However, it was during this third step that humanity was united under the domain, cause behind the creation of the human domain, and as the name suggests, its domination over human colonized space was the gate system. The gate system, as the name suggests, was a system of gates, portals which transport ships from one point in the galaxy to the other in a matter of seconds. This, combined with FTL travel, made already rapid expansion even more rapid. Gate holders, great machines carrying the gates, opened new doors for humanity. However, the gate system was more than a tool of colonization of the stars. It was a tool of conquest and control. Where the gate, where the domain was, and with it, its power. Its fleets of automated drones or regular fleets manned with people. No matter what resources were available at the moment. Each and every foundation of a new polity or a web of any rebellion was defabricated within an instant by the sheer power of the domain, immediately transported through the gates. The Persean sector, our sector, was the frontier of the domain. Was it the newest sector to be colonized? We don't know. I personally doubt it. The domain had power to expand everywhere, or at least so it seemed. Persian sector can be only one of many frontiers. However, to us, it is not a frontier, it is our home. And it was like any other part of the domain. Under construction it was, yes, but it was the domain proper. One may ask himself a lot of questions if it comes to this part of history. Luddites, Persian, Marathians, no matter the place people came from, their faith, people ask themselves many questions, and so will I ask them. When the collapse happened, was it because of our sector? What was found here, or maybe what found us here? Maybe whatever caused the collapse was from somewhere else and it happened somewhere else as well. Maybe that our sector was in development saved it from whatever happened. Nothing is known about the collapse except that it happened. The collapse. The immediate shutdown of the gate network. Within a moment, the whole Persian sector was cut from the domain. The umbilical cord of the infant sector was cut. Still in development, without full power, the people of the Persian sector were left alone. Free from the domain. Oh, the joy to some. Free from the domain. Oh, the horror. What caused the collapse? Some say it was the doing of Trytaion, the biggest corporation in the sector. People say that they caused the collapse. Some may say it was all the big corporations. The Trytaion, Co-Combi, HD Autofab, Bihali Space Group, but did they? Other big corporations fell after all. Eridan Utopia, Altair Exotech, Fabric Orbital, Interstellar Dynamics and more. Such a big move. A move there isn't a word to describe the scale of. Was made by a corporation like Trytaion? I doubt it. Much is unknown about this period. Some say collapse happened when a prisoner named Lud, the saint, the messiah of the Ludic church, was transported through the gate network. What is known is that the 6th battle group of the domain was pulled out of the sector shortly before the collapse. The 14th battle group, disgraced by many mutinies, was sent in its stead, but not through the gate network. They were sent into the Persian sector through FTL travel. Yes, this is a part that's sure, just like the collapse. But why? Whatever happened? Was the 6th battle group pulled out because a strong, not disgraced battle group was needed elsewhere immediately? That makes sense if a threat to the domain was so great that the gates collapsed. Was 14th battle group sent by FTL because the domain knew that the gates were going to collapse? It seems possible. Still, the question remains, why? Post-collapse. First major event happens in the 5th cycle post-collapse. Refugees from terraforming collapse on Maxios settle outer Magic system. The failure of terraforming surely was caused by the collapse. During the 8th cycle, formation of the Church of Galactic Redemption happens. The Church of Galactic Redemption arose out of a compromise between a handful of the largest sects of faithful who agreed that worldly organizations were necessary to uphold the teachings of Lud. The Knights of Lud were formed as a monotheistic military branch of the church intended to temper secular wrath with spiritual virtue. Many sects remain outside of the official church, including the infamous loosely associated Ludic path. It is only after 48 cycles after the collapse that the arm of the domain sent into the Persian sector arrives. 14th battle group arrives and proclaims the hegemony a year later. Next major event happens during the 82nd cycle after the collapse. The Pearl of the Sector, a seat of civilization in this forgotten lonely place, is brutally devastated. Mariath, one of the few planets fully terraformed in the Persian sector, a planet which for 33 cycles held hegemony's power in check. Its surface is destroyed by a brutal attack by the Ludic Path. One of its orbital stations, orbital cities, holding millions of lives, is charged that and taken out of orbit. The station collides with the planet, killing millions. Other orbital stations are taken out of orbit. One abandoned, one gives itself to piracy, the dark side of survival within the sector. Soon after this act of brutality by the Path, hegemony arrives. Mayasuran fleet, unsupported by confused policies of the Persian sector, the sheer confusion of such rapid devastation is unable to defeat the fleet of hegemony. The fleet is destroyed, the flagship Garuda joins the orbital cities, the rest of the fleet, and Mariaf itself in destruction. This kind of destruction, tragedy of millions, death of millions, and an opening for a war which could cause even more deaths. Was this really what Lud would have wanted? During the next cycle, the answer to hegemony's takeover of Mariaf happens. Persian League forms, a league of planets now threatened by the expansion of hegemony. With Mayasuran's system in hegemony's hands, those worlds now border the hegemony. The league at some point took over Mariaf's system from the hegemony. It is unknown exactly when. Mariaf was free from their conquerors. However, the planet was destroyed along with much of the population. Mariaf found itself a part of the league, and the league quickly found out who really pulled the strings. The Forge World of Kazaron became the leader of the league, its power holding the league together for better or worse. 2 cycles after the destruction of Mariaf, Tri-Icon Corporation deploys its AI fleets created in secret forges on the fringe of the sector. Cycle 89. Mere 7 cycles after the destruction of Mariaf, the greatest conflict in the Persian sector's history begins. The first AI war. Hegemony declares intent to enforce domain-era restrictions on AI development against Tri-Tachyon. The Persian League sides with Tri-Tachyon. The Ludic Church supports the hegemony. War engulfs the sector and lasts until the cycle 95. Now, much is spoken about these events by scholars and people at large. Did the hegemony attack Mariaf to secure passage and a base against incoming Great War against Tri-Tachyon? That's possible. Hegemony entered the sector from the fringes. They surely saw what Tri-Icon was doing. I personally think Tri-Tachyon was making AI war fleets for a long time. Hegemony didn't act immediately because of the sheer chaos of the collapse. They needed to stabilize the sector, they needed to stabilize the situation and find their footing. When they did, they took a possible ally of Tri-Tachyon, the independent Mariaf. Of course, the Ludic Path could have done the scourge of the planet by itself, and the hegemony took the planet seeing the opportunity. After all, Tri-Tachyon stepped into the Mayasuran system immediately after its collapse and didn't help the devastated planet at all. No matter what's the truth, hegemony did a mistake and by its actions created an even greater ally for the Tri-Tachyon, the Persian League. I doubt that Tri-Tachyon unleashed the fleets of AI warships because of the destructions of Mariaf. The destruction of this planet was a pretext that Tri-Tachyon needed to do what they wanted for a long time. Maybe the path wasn't manipulated by hegemony to do what they did. The path was manipulated by Tri-Tachyon, but that is unknown. No matter what's the truth, the war ended with hegemony's victory. AI regulations were set in place, Tri-Tachyon defeated, its power diminished, but hegemony paid a great price for this victory. From cycle 95 to the cycle 107, joint hegemony and Knights of Loot fleet operations sweep autonomous AI from the fringe systems until partnership agreement breaks down. In the same cycle, that is cycle 107, High Hegemon declares victory over the AI threat. However, Spacers will tell you no full victory was achieved. AI fleets wait within the systems too dangerous to defeat. Nexuses of AI repair themselves and wait. Cycle 148. Mazal regime in Zagan is toppled by a Ludic revolution. League world of Mazalot is overthrown by a Ludic majority population. In the cycle 153, Persian League sends a fleet to interfere in Ludic revolution in Zagan system. They successfully defeat Knights of Loot and a Puffer fleet. Invasion of the sector by Warlord Lo happens in the cycle 160. The biggest conflict since the first AI war. Rogue fleet of former domain military warships under command of Wansyo's Locke enters Persian sector after raiding fringe worlds. Locke scores major victory by catching Hegemony's task force unaware in Penelope's star. Same cycle, Colonel Kanta turns traitor in the Magic system. Originally a Hegemony logistics officer, Colonel Kanta cuts a deal with Locke to turn the Hegemony base in Utah's disk and its arsenal over to the pirate warlord. A young officer, Philip Andrada, defeats Warlord Lo in the Battle of Maxios, becoming a living legend of Hegemony. Soon after the defeat of Lo, Kanta declares herself successor to him. She takes over the fleets of Lo, takes full control and creates alliances. She becomes the strongest pirate leader in the sector. These events, although they end with Lo's defeat, destabilize the sector. Hegemony is weakened and the pirates are on the rise under Kanta. It is 20 years later, in cycle 180, that a civil war breaks in Asconia's star system. Ostensibly over domestic issues, Flashpoint occurs around Persian League membership consideration, but much outside interference as well. A year later, in cycle 181, Hegemony intervenes in Asconia's star system. Asconia is a powerful independent system considering the League membership to shore up domestic support in face of ongoing civil war. Hegemony moves to counter expansion of the Persian League by interfering in force. They sent Admiral Philip Andrada to take care of the situation. Things spiral completely out of everyone's control. The Asconia crisis ends with a devastation worse than Mariav, and once again Hegemony is severely weakened. The Moon Opis, capital and population center of Asconia star system, is destroyed by a planet killer. Andrada blames the rebels. Rebels blame Andrada. Other rebels blame each other, and others blame outside agents. The Hegemony Executive Council considers Andrada's actions erratic and ill-judged, issuing a recall order which he ignores, declaring it weak-willed treason. Philip Andrada starts purges through Asconia's system, declares himself Executor for life, aka Dictact Executor, over new polity formed from Hegemony Intervention Fleet. Most of the Hegemony fleet declares for Andrada, hero of the Battle of Maxios, while a minority remains loyal to Hegemony and a smaller minority joins Asconian rebels. A chaotic battle breaks out in the Hegemony Armada in around orbit of Sinjra, with fighting both in ship corridors and between ships of the Hegemony fleet. And because of the next event, it is highly possible that it was Tritachyon that caused the war. Maybe not quite completely possible, maybe they simply used the situation, or maybe they pulled some strings. Because in cycle 189, 8 years after Asconia crisis, the second AI war begins. With Hegemony weakened by the fallout from the Asconia crisis, loss of fleet, loss of standing, loss of stability in the officer corps, CEO Artemisa Sun uses the opportunity and begins the second AI war. The League once more supports Tritachyon. The Ludic Church once again supports Hegemony. The war lasts until cycle 194. At the beginning of the war, in response to discovery of Tritachyon backdoors installed in hyperspace relay hardware, the Hegemony orders its internal hyperwave network destroyed. Interstellar communications fall back to pocket ships. The same cycle, Hanapacha is destroyed by a planet killer. Neither Hegemony or Tritaion claims responsibility. Diplomatic fallout leads to a temporary ceasefire. Hegemony war efforts suffer under logistic attacks. Using peace-talk ceasefire to resupply, Tritaion uses advanced raiders to covertly attack logistics fleets. Hegemony surprises raiders with a special anti-raider patrol in Valhalla system. Various battles happen as war lasts until cycle 194. In cycle 193, Artemisa's son is removed as CEO of Tritaion. In attempt to strike at the heart of the hegemony, Chi Omo Stock, how the hell do you pronounce it? The attack Chi Omostock. The attack fails following the cycle. The war ends. CEO Artemisa's son returns and takes over Tritaion. Hegemony wins the war, its stability returns, its ranks grow once more. From this point on, no major events happen. Third AI war looms on the horizon as Tritaion licks its wounds. The remnants of AI fleets remain and wait. Cycle 206. A captain, by many known as John Starsector, enters the chessboard of the Persean sector. Much is attributed to him. First steps to awaken the Gate network, victory over an advanced ship of unknown origins known as the Ziggurat. Captain John Starsector journeys into the remnant-infested systems, returning victorious many times. He even finds a coronal Hyper's hunt and learns of an advanced AI known as Omega. He also journeys to the Abyss, finding what shouldn't be found. Much have we learned from the discoveries of the captain's John Starsector. Now I will tell you what we know from him, and I will speculate on this knowledge. During the expansion of the domain many years pre-collapse, a crisis happened. Drone ships were used to colonize the stars, gather resources, and suppress rebelling worlds. During one such rebellion, an order was possibly given to the drones: defabricate everything. It is quite possible this order was taken literally. By the limited capacity of the drones, they began to defabricate everything. Maybe it was this caused by a glitch in the system of the automated units, maybe something else was the cause. What happens next after this event is so-called Grey Wave. 400 officers resign after the embarrassment at Van Mills Star. A great struggle ensues between the domain and its out-of-control automated drone ships. Onslaught Mk1 is created. After it come the rest of Onslaught variants. Domain strike against its own previous power with its newfound power. War takes unknown amount of cycles. Rapid changes to laws of production happen. Nanoforges are created, restrictions put on them. New automated drones are made heavily restricted. System of their works fully change. Human crews supported by AI take over fully automated systems. War over the existential threat to humanity is won, both sides stretched thin. Domain endures, but the threat survives, retreats into the abyss between the stars. Peace is back, or rather the state of galaxy before the emerging of threat is returned. This threat that the domain faced, this threat to humanity's existence as a whole, is now upon the doorstep of the Persean sector. My speculation is that threat, now changed through eons of constant creation, caused the collapse of the gates, done by Loot or Omega. Whatever this being or force is, was a necessary move. It is to quarantine off the Persean sector or other sectors. Whatever is true, for 206 cycles, this threat has been on our doorstep. Maybe the Tritaion AI war fleets weren't only made to fight the hegemony. Would AI fleets in such a number even be made so quickly and to fight a single battle group? What's of this Omega AI spoken about? Is there more to it than we and even John Starsector himself knows? Also, whatever else is within the abyss, with the threat of old, whatever those things are behind the shroud, could have threat been their doing? We know nothing of it. With threat we have clues, and with time, the more and more Captain Starsector destroys of them, the more will we learn from them. But the shroud, we know nothing of it. But the battle footage, oh, those beings, this horror, they look just like the abomination made by the Tritachian, the Ziggurat. Did Captain John Starsector use their own sibling to fight against them? I will not speculate anymore. I wish I could, but I will not jump into the maw of madness, knowing now that it exists in form. I send you to other scholars of the sector, some surely less biased than me. However, we should know that when the United Aurora Federation some spacers talk about has its place at the fringe of the sector falls, we know the abyss in whatever form has moved. If that happens, the sector is doomed. God only knows, but to raise your spirits, I will say this, a quote by the captain himself: I haven't met an enemy a Typhon lance cannot defeat. Now, thank you for watching. Like or dislike, subscribe if you want. This was the longest script I have done so far. I am dyslectic, as the title probably says, so it was really hard to do. Could have I done a better job? Oh yes, of course, and I hope I will do. Maybe I will stick to like shorter scripts and, you know, put some videos together like I did with Dying Light. I think that goes better for me. However, I wanted to say thank you to all these Starsector players who gathered the lore. I wanted to do a shout out to Reddit. They collected all the information that are available about the threat and about the dwellers. So yeah, I wanted to say thank you to them. I also want to thank the Starsector YouTuber Sniper Shot for allowing me to use the footage from his channel. I really thank you for that. I just went to his video and I just wrote to him if I can use the footage, and he said yes. It's very, very honest and good, well-mannered conversation that there was, you know. I really like it. We should really do something more like this. We should put some more manners onto the internet. I really enjoyed this short exchange. Once again, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you feel like it, dislike if you feel like it, like if you like the video. However, if you dislike, please tell me why, so I can learn from it, because I want to learn. Am I gonna learn quickly? My dogs just lost their shit. Am I going to learn quickly? No, I am gonna learn slowly, but I will learn. I will make improvements slowly but surely. And now, that's it. Goodbye.